Tom Cruise has been married 3 times, and all 3 marriages ended in divorce. His private life gets more attention than his movies. On screen, he looks tough and confident. But in real life, his romantic problems have been really hard on him emotionally. People have always been curious about Tom Cruise's love life. Millions of fans wonder who is the real love of his life. Was it his first wife who introduced him to a special organization? Was it the wife who stayed with him for 11 amazing years? Or was it his younger wife whose short marriage ended, and she took his only biological child with her? For many years, Tom Cruise didn't talk about his personal life. But finally, he shared something he kept secret for a long time: his true feelings about the most important relationship in his life. This story gives us a new way to look at Tom Cruise's journey through love and shows us who left the biggest mark on his heart. One of Tom Cruise's first girlfriends, even before he was famous, was Melissa Gilbert. She was the star of a TV show called Little House on the Prairie. They met in the early 1980s when both were still trying to make it in Hollywood. Tom was only 18 years old back then. His real name was Thomas Mapother IV. He had just escaped from a messy childhood with lots of moving around. Melissa was a few years older than Tom. She already had some experience in acting and felt lonely because of her own family problems. They met at a small party. Tom's bright, ambitious eyes and easy smile caught Melissa's attention. When they first talked, he didn't brag about fame or movies. Instead, he talked about his childhood, his mom, his 2 older sisters, and how they moved so much that he couldn't make friends. Melissa listened carefully. She was both touched and surprised that a 19-year-old boy seemed older than his age emotionally. They started hanging out more often, going to simple dinners, and staying up late talking about their dreams, fears, and the tough parts of Hollywood. Tom loved with everything he had, honest, intense, and almost too innocent for the practical world around him. Melissa felt his passion but also realized he was vulnerable. She knew she couldn't be the support system Tom needed. As Tom's career took off with movies like Risky Business and The Outsiders, the gap between them became clearer. Melissa didn't want to become someone who made up for what Tom missed in his childhood. She wanted a relationship between equals, not to be like a sister or a mother figure to him. One afternoon in Laurel Canyon, she told Tom, "You mean a lot to me, but I think you need someone else. Someone who can keep up with how fast you're going." Tom didn't say anything. He just squeezed her hand one last time like he was letting go of a piece of himself. Years later, after becoming a superstar, Tom rarely talked about this romance. But in a few rare interviews, he smiled sadly and said, "She was very good to me. Back then, I had nothing but a dream. She was the first person who made me believe I could become someone." Melissa said, "We met at the right time, but it was only right for a very short period." That's what first love is like. Beautiful, innocent, deep enough to stay in your memory forever, but not strong enough to last. It left a quiet mark on Tom Cruise's later search for love and stability. After the sweet, innocent teenage romance with Melissa Gilbert, Tom Cruise started to feel the weight of fame creeping into his personal life. In the early 1980s, Tom's name wasn't everywhere in Hollywood yet, but it was getting noticed. That's when he met Heather Locklear, a rising star from the hit TV show Dynasty. This was an important turning point, a relationship that showed Tom wasn't just looking for love anymore, but also testing himself in the public spotlight. They met after an audition that Heather went to. Tom was still the young guy with a playful smile and eyes that showed both innocence and strong determination. Heather remembered their first meeting as running into an unusual actor. Tom was confident and spoke his mind, but he also had hidden worries that only someone paying close attention would see. She said, "He was natural, full of energy, and I thought, wow, this guy is definitely going somewhere." Their first real date was at a nightclub with colorful lights and loud music that made everything feel exciting and a little crazy. Heather remembered when Tom boldly did the famous dance move from Risky Business right in the middle of the dance floor. Everyone in the room watched. Many people were shocked, but Heather just stood there, half smiling and half embarrassed. You just stand there and you don't know what to do. And he's dancing like the whole world is watching only him, she said. Tom, in his 20s, was full of energy and ambition. He didn't realize that these bold moves showed how much he wanted people to notice and approve of him. Heather saw his excitement, but also saw his limitations. Tom wasn't ready to love the way other people expected. The date ended quickly and didn't last long, but it left a mark on Tom's mind. He learned that love wasn't just about passion. It also needed skill, patience, and the ability to understand what the other person was feeling. Years later, Heather said, he was full of energy, but he was too young for me to take seriously. I saw the potential and the loneliness he didn't know how to share. After the exciting but short-lived dates with Heather, Tom's fame exploded with his role in Risky Business in 1983. This movie led him to meet Rebecca De Mornay, a talented, attractive, and lively actress. Unlike his earlier romances, the relationship with Rebecca opened up deeper, more serious feelings while also clearly showing Tom's inner pain. Tom and Rebecca first met while filming Risky Business. Rebecca was already a well-known actress, while Tom was still trying to prove himself. From the first few scenes together, they felt a special connection they couldn't explain. For Rebecca, Tom wasn't just an ambitious young actor. He was someone with emotional depth who was looking for the love and acceptance that his difficult childhood had left empty. In a 1986 interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Rebecca said, "There is something very honest and wholesome about him, which is pretty rare. There is definitely something different about kids that come from broken families. They have this seeking quality because you are looking for love and affection." These words showed a part of Tom's quiet tragedy, the deep need for love and security that was never really filled. The romance between Tom and Rebecca grew quickly, happening at the same time he was filming a movie called Legend in London. Being far apart, work pressure, and growing fame created challenges they couldn't see coming. Tom, even though he was devoted and passionate, hadn't learned how to balance his rising career with his deep emotional needs. Rebecca noticed that he both wanted to be close to someone and was scared of commitment, an internal conflict that few people could see. While they were dating, they had sweet moments walking around London, enjoying small cafes and talking about their careers, life, and deep loneliness. Rebecca was the first person Tom felt he could share his private thoughts with. But the relationship also made him understand how hard it was to keep love and fame in balance. The tragedy didn't come from cheating or fighting, but from the unavoidable conflict between work and personal life. When Tom came back to the U.S. to film Top Gun, the distance created the first crack in their relationship. He had to face a tough choice: keep the romance going or fully commit to becoming famous. Tom told Rolling Stone, "Relationships are difficult. You have to know when you're going to be in a different place than the other person. You have to have the strength to break up. If something isn't working, you have to face it and move on." This statement was both an admission that things didn't work out with Rebecca and a warning about Tom's future romantic problems. Love and career, two important things, often couldn't perfectly exist together. Rebecca De Mornay once said, "He wanted everything to be perfect, but things can't always be that way." I saw the emptiness in his eyes and knew that would follow him all his life. The breakup happened with regret, quietly, but it left a lesson about love, responsibility, and sacrifice. After that, as Tom's career reached its peak with Top Gun and Risky Business, his love life became complicated. One of the most surprising and attention-grabbing romances was with Cher, the music and acting icon. The age gap, Cher was 17 years older than Tom, wasn't really the problem. But the relationship showed the tragedy in Tom's emotional life: insecurity, loneliness, and a need for love that was never satisfied. They met when Cher was at the top of her career. She shared with Oprah Winfrey, I was crazy about him. Cher saw Tom as a lively young man whose eyes showed loneliness, something rare for a celebrity. Despite his confidence on screen, Tom was shy in private relationships. He once admitted he felt like an idiot in school where no one cared about him. When Tom ran into an old classmate while having dinner with Cher, she realized that even though he had achieved fame, Tom couldn't escape the shadow of his lonely childhood. The romance didn't last long, but it left a deep impression. Cher said on a show called Watch What Happens Live in 2013 that Tom Cruise was one of the 5 best lovers she ever had. He was very shy. I was crazy about him, though. He was amazing, she said. This sharing revealed a tragedy. Despite his talent and fame, Tom hadn't found a home in love. His shyness suggested a heart that was always controlled by the fear of being hurt, the pressure of fame, and what society expected from him. But after all those incomplete romances, Tom Cruise's biggest emotion, Al connection truly appeared when he met Mimi Rogers in the mid-1980s. Mimi was 6 years older than Tom. She was an actress with her own reputation. But what made this relationship special wasn't just the love. It was the beginning of Tom's involvement with the Church of Scientology, a religious organization that would change both his personal life and his career. Tom first met Mimi at a dinner party where she was dating a friend of his. However, right away a special connection sparked between them, a feeling of understanding each other that Tom rarely found in previous relationships. Mimi remembered that Tom attracted her not only because of his looks and growing fame, but also because of his energy, seriousness, and the deep loneliness inside him, the leftovers from an unstable childhood. On May 9, 1987, Tom and Mimi quietly got married in upstate New York. This wasn't a big, fancy Hollywood wedding. It was a deeply personal moment where two people found each other in the entertainment world full of lights and shadows. For Tom, Mimi was the first woman who truly created a long-lasting bond, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Most importantly, according to many people who study celebrities, Mimi was the one who introduced Tom Cruise to the Church of Scientology. During this time, Tom was searching for deeper meaning in life, a spiritual anchor to help him control his career, emotions, and internal worries. Mimi, with her knowledge and experience, opened the first door that led Tom into the world of Scientology. This was a turning point because from here on, Tom's love life, career decisions, and even future relationships were deeply influenced by the teachings and rules set by Scientology. However, in January 1990, the two got divorced. The main reason, as Mimi revealed in a 1993 Playboy magazine interview, wasn't a lack of love or cheating. It was because Tom was at a unique stage in his spiritual life. He was seriously thinking about becoming a monk and decided that marriage didn't fit with his spiritual needs at the time. Mimi said humorously, but with some pain, "My tools needed adjusting." The consequence of the relationship with Mimi wasn't just a divorce. It also set the foundation for Tom Cruise's entire future love life and career. Being introduced to Scientology influenced how Tom chose his future partners, how he approached relationships, and even how he built his public image. After divorcing Mimi Rogers, Tom quickly proposed to Nicole, and on Christmas Eve 1990 they got married. The wedding, held at a private location, was seen as a Hollywood fairy tale come true, two young, talented, and powerful stars building a family together. Tom Cruise met Nicole Kidman in the early 1990s, a time when Hollywood was full of famous couples, and these two A-list stars immediately grabbed media attention. They first met during auditions for the movie Days of Thunder in 1990, and a strong connection formed right away. This wasn't just chemistry for work. It was a deep understanding of each other's souls. Both had experienced complicated childhoods, and both were looking for a safe place in love. Nicole, who was always quiet and private, found in Tom the enthusiasm, devotion, and desire for family that she wanted. Tom, who was always haunted by loneliness and the lack of love in his childhood, seemed to have found solid ground with Nicole. Throughout the 1990s, the couple became icons of love and career success happening at the same time. They acted together in Far and Away in 1992 and went through a challenging filming process with Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut in 1999, a project that lasted over 400 days and required patience, dedication, and personal sacrifice. During these years, they adopted 2 children, a daughter named Isabella in 1992 and a son named Connor in 1995. The family seemed perfect, proof that Tom could build the home he had wanted since childhood. However, behind that perfect picture, cracks slowly appeared. Tom Cruise, who was increasingly following the teachings of Scientology, started to show a level of control that Nicole found hard to accept. The difference in religious beliefs, career pressure, and the need to protect their public image started to create distance between them. Tom, with his desire to control every part of life from work to family, accidentally pushed Nicole into a position where she had to think carefully about every personal decision. In February 2001, the marriage ended with a shocking decision to divorce. The official reason given was the natural difficulties of their different careers that kept them apart. But behind this reason was a deeper, sadder story: religious disagreements, the pressure of fame, and personal conflicts that made love impossible to sustain. Nicole later admitted, "I start to understand now why we broke up. Not then." Tom, who had worked so hard to build the family he never had as a child, had to watch the image of that home fall apart. Nicole, who once trusted and loved Tom, also had to deal with the pain of losing her partner and companion during those important years of her life. After the difficult divorce from Nicole Kidman in 2001, Tom Cruise entered a sensitive phase in his love life. His fame, media pressure, and the need to balance love, work, and being a father made all relationships after that complicated. In this situation, the relationship with Penélope Cruz appeared like a quick flash of emotion, but it was also full of challenges. Tom and Penélope first met while working together on the movie Vanilla Sky in 2001, a project Tom took on shortly after his divorce from Nicole. At first, they kept their connection quiet because both knew the situation was sensitive. However, the attraction between them quickly became obvious. Tom was drawn to Penélope's confidence, charm, and privacy. The Spanish actress saw in Tom a deep, emotional man who was still searching for stability. The romance became public in August 2001, when the media noticed them being close. Right away, the couple became the center of attention from the press and the public. Fame meant that every private moment was watched closely. Their dates, smiles, glances, or smallest signs of affection became topics of discussion. Penélope Cruz, even though she was used to attention, couldn't avoid the huge pressure from the media. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise was still dealing with the aftermath of his previous shocking divorce. Even though their feelings for each other were genuine and deep, the surrounding pressure created major obstacles. In June 2003, Penélope had to sue an Australian tabloid newspaper for falsely reporting that their relationship was on pause because she had been unfaithful. This event showed that their love faced not only personal challenges, but also pressure from the outside world, sensational stories and false rumors that could break down mutual trust. Throughout their nearly 3 years of dating, Tom and Penélope kept a serious relationship. Tom once admitted in 2003 that he was very, very happy with the relationship. However, that happiness was always threatened by how complicated the situation was. Tom was still adjusting to life after divorce and wasn't completely free from the emotional wounds with Nicole Kidman. Penélope, even though she was understanding and caring, also had to deal with the consequences of dating one of the most powerful and sought-after stars on the planet. By early 2004, everything ended quietly. According to People magazine, the relationship just ran its course, and they decided not to be boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. There was no big scandal, no public divorce, just the quiet end of a love that once had so much promise. Then in 2005, Tom Cruise entered a new chapter in his love life with Katie Holmes, a promising young actress recently known to the public as Joey Potter in the TV series Dawson's Creek. Unlike his previous relationships, this romance was no longer private or just based on personal attraction. It became a media sensation. The couple was quickly given the nickname Tom Cat, and every step of their relationship was closely watched by photographers. The romance began when Tom Cruise, at 42 years old and having gone through 2 failed marriages, was captivated by Katie's youth, independent spirit, and delicate beauty. She was 26 at the time. For Katie, Tom Cruise coming into her life wasn't just a romantic opportunity. It was a major career turning point, being linked to one of Hollywood's most powerful A-list stars. But the difference in age and status created challenges from the start. Their love quickly became a public symbol of Hollywood, but it also meant unimaginable pressure from the public and the media. The most famous moment, when Tom jumped on the couch during an interview with Oprah Winfrey to express his love for Katie, became a cultural icon. It was both romantic and weird, but at the same time it exposed a reality. Their love had turned into a public performance where the individual person was completely merged with the image of a superstar. In 2006, the couple publicly announced their engagement and got married on November 18 of the same year in a private ceremony in Italy. This wasn't a big Hollywood party filled with cameras and reporters, but the event was still closely monitored by the public. This marriage showed Tom Cruise's determination to create a traditional family image, something he had wanted since childhood but never fully achieved. Katie became the center of Tom's personal world, with all the attention, power, and expectations that came with it. Just a year later, in April 2006, Katie gave birth to their daughter, Suri Cruise, a child who was highly sought after by the media and expected to be the bridge between 2 worlds, career and family. Everything seemed perfect on the surface. A happy family, a beautiful daughter, perfect magazine photos, and Tom seemingly achieved what he always wanted, a real home. However, that perfection was only on the surface. According to several sources, pressure from the Church of Scientology deeply infiltrated their family life. Katie, a young mother, faced expectations and unwritten rules that she didn't fully agree with. The relationship gradually shifted from romantic love to controlling pressure. Who would decide about their daughter's education, her relationship with other church members, and how to manage their public image? This pressure, combined with the difference in age and life experience, created an emotional distance between the couple. In June 2012, Katie Holmes filed for divorce, an action that shocked the media and people around the world. There were no long arguments or public drama, but the divorce went through quickly and effectively. In just 2 weeks, Katie was granted full custody of their daughter, Suri. According to reports, the divorce was carefully prepared with support from Katie's family, especially her father, who was always worried about the influence of Scientology and the control Tom Cruise might have. This divorce was a major shock not just to Tom Cruise but to the public. From the shy young man who once looked for acceptance and teenage love, to the powerful man with 2 failed marriages, Tom now had to face the reality that despite his huge fame and fortune, love cannot be forced or controlled. In the years following the divorce, Tom Cruise rarely spoke publicly about Katie. But through interviews and media reports, it became clear that this relationship left a deep mark on his heart, not because of the fame or the scandal, but because she was the only woman with whom he had a biological child and a public, genuine romance that he truly wanted to protect. Looking back, the relationship with Katie Holmes was a mix of romance, happiness, pressure, and tragedy. It closed an important chapter in Tom Cruise's journey to find love and a stable home, a journey filled with challenges he never fully overcame. And Suri Cruise, his only daughter, remains the living proof of the love Tom once wanted, even as everything else around him fell apart. Looking back at Tom Cruise's relationships, a picture that is both dazzling and lonely emerges. Tom's greatest tragedy is not the failure in love, but the fact that his heart was always at war with control and the public eye, making complete happiness always far away. And after all those relationships, the deepest mark is with Suri Cruise, his only daughter, proof of genuine love that goes beyond all spotlights. Tom Cruise's love journey is a chain of brilliant tragedies, passionate, intense, yet full of loneliness and breakdown, reminding us that the human heart is always hard to win over, no matter how powerful or famous you are. Throughout the years following the divorce, Tom Cruise's relationship with his daughter Suri became a sensitive topic, covered in media silence. But if we go back to the initial confession at the beginning of the video, the promise of getting married again and having kids, that is a desire that never fades. But the true love, the one who captured his heart entirely, was not the person he wanted to marry, but the one who taught him the meaning of unconditional commitment. After all the drama, the failed marriages, and the rumors of auditions for a future wife, Tom Cruise's confession was finally revealed, not through a public statement, but through private actions and decisions. The person who truly captured his heart, the one he always had to fight to keep, is Suri Cruise. She is the living proof, the only irreplaceable connection to the idea of family and unconditional love. If there is one woman who permanently changed Tom Cruise's life and goals, it is the one who gave birth to Suri. But it is Suri herself, who carries his blood, who is the biggest reason he had to face the harsh reality of the cost of his career. Tom Cruise's story is a powerful reflection. He conquered the world but failed to find stability in his personal life. He is the greatest action superstar, but also a father and husband who constantly struggled with loneliness. After looking into these personal tragedies, who do you think left the biggest mark on Tom Cruise's life? Suri Cruise, Katie Holmes, or perhaps Nicole Kidman? Do you think Tom Cruise will find complete family happiness in the next chapter of his life? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss other shocking Hollywood behind-the-scenes stories. See you in the next incredible stories about film history.